So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
Hey everybody, it's Beth. Welcome back to my channel. So this video is going up a little bit later today than normal because that's just life. But we are continuing on with the complete vinyl collection videos. So today we are going to cover soundtracks, non-horror, letters N through P. So let's go ahead and get started. If you guys want to catch up on these videos, I've created a playlist and that will be linked down below. And also I will link any vinyl videos that I do that pertain to the soundtracks. It will also be listed down below. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Up first, this is the soundtrack to Napoleon Dynamite. So it not only features score pieces from the film, but also certain songs that were featured in the film, like the Alphaville song, Forever Young, as well as When in Rome's The Promise, Jamiroquai, on and on. So, love this soundtrack. Napoleon Dynamite is one of my favorite 2000s films, for sure. All right. The Neverending Story. This is one of my favorite films of all time. Little funny story about this particular pressing. My friend Eric Weinbender gifted me this a few years ago. And the funny thing was he didn't know, but I had ordered a copy myself, Japanese pressing, as seen here. So I kept his version and I gave away the other one that I had. So the nice thing about this release that I like is not only it sounds wonderful, it's my only Japanese pressing that I own. I would love to find more of them, but it has the pieces by Giorgio Moroder as well as Klaus Dollinger's pieces as well. Okay, 9.5 Weeks. Woo, spicy film, right guys? Great soundtrack here. Found this up in St. Louis not that long ago, but I played what song did I play? The Dal Bello song on the channel pretty recently. I love that track. That's a really cool song. But this is a great little soundtrack with songs by Corey Hart, Brian Ferry, Joe Cocker. It's just a great soundtrack, great movie. If you haven't revisited it in a while, I think it holds up pretty well, but it's definitely taboo. Speaking of another taboo film, this is No Small Affair with Jon Cryer and Demi Moore. I'm not really that familiar with this film. I may have seen it on cable back in the day. I played a track off of it, so definitely seek out that playlist down below if you want to hear a sample from the soundtrack. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So my uncle and aunt bought this for me a few years ago. They found this at a flea market of all places and picked it up for me, so I was glad to get this. This is one of my favorite Tarantino films. It's definitely Tarantino light, I guess you could say. I remember seeing this in the theater and like watching the film, really enjoying it, but I was like, okay, when's the action gonna happen, right? Because it's pretty tame compared to some of his films. But just like all the rest of Tarantino's films and many of his soundtracks, they're very eclectic and diverse and just a lot of fun to listen to. Oh, The Outsiders. Again, one of my favorite films. Love the book. I remember reading the book and then seeing the film back when I was a wee lad. Or lass, I guess I should say. But this was put out just a couple years ago. A score by Carmine Coppola, and of course has the Stevie Wonder songs on here. One of my favorite films of all time. You know how passionate I am about Over the Top, but the soundtrack is so underrated. If you come upon this, if you find it in the bargain bin, pick it up, because it's one of those, at least for me, that's a front to back soundtrack. You know, there's no songs that I skip on the soundtrack, but it's got Meet Me Halfway by Kenny Loggins, In This Country by Robin Zander, The Fight, Giorgio Moroder's track, Take It Higher, Larry Green, so much good stuff on here. Winner Takes It All, Sammy Hagar, love that song. I've played many of these on the channel so far, so definitely seek out that playlist if you want to check it out. Okay, this is Party Party. This is a film I still never seen. I think it might be like a UK film. I'm not 100% sure on that, so I'm sure someone will correct me down below. But it is loaded with great music, so hence me picking it up. Dave Edmunds, Madness, Bananarama, Altered Images on here. Great soundtrack, and one I've seen this one out and about many times. Okay, I could have put this under Back to School, but I put it under Pee-wee's Big Adventure because I tend to play more of the Pee-wee's Big Adventure side of this soundtrack. So I would hope someday that we get more of an expanded vinyl soundtrack score to Pee-wee's Big Adventure, but until then, this is what we have. Peggy Sue Got Married. You know what? I picked this up not only for the score pieces, but then also I love the song. I played it on the channel that Nicolas Cage performs. Did you guys know that he can sing? Yes, that man can do almost everything. Perfect. I love this movie. I remember it played on cable a lot of the time back in the day, and I used to have this kind of thing for John Travolta, not so much anymore, but definitely when he had his kind of renaissance there in the 90s, I went back and watched a lot of his films that I was not that familiar with, including Perfect. This film, it's cheesy, but it's a lot of fun, and it's totally 80s, you guys. But the Jermaine Jackson track, I love that song, and again, it's featured on my channel. So check that out. But this is just a fun soundtrack, and I'm glad to have it in the collection. Okay, this is the soundtrack to Phantom of the Paradise. If you're fans of Rocky Horror, you probably would appreciate Phantom of the Paradise. I'm not 100% sure. I know some people do try to compare the two, but I think they're both in kind of leagues of their own, so to speak. But this is kind of a rock opera type of musical. So again, if you're not familiar with Phantom of the Paradise, look it up. Look up the trailer. It's quirky, it's unique, it's weird, and I love it. Okay, this is the soundtrack to John Travolta's Phenomenon. Again, like I said, had a little thing for John Travolta there for many years. Many years. Oh, I have a very weird taste in the fellas, but we won't go into that. Anyway, this has the Change the World song by Eric Clapton, many other songs on here. I need to give this a spin. I haven't played it in a while. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Oh, I love this soundtrack. I love this movie. It's one of my favorite John Hughes films. Definitely one of my favorite John Candy performances. Rest in peace, dear sir. We need to do that John Hughes live stream sometime. I have it all planned out, but I just haven't executed it. I need to. I've been waiting for my better internet service, which is coming Monday, so I'm very excited about that. But the nice thing about this soundtrack is it's split up into like city and country sides. So that's kind of cool to hear the different takes, the different tracks, kind of on their journey. So, yeah, definitely look for us to honor John Hughes coming soon. Couple more, you guys. Porky's Revenge. Hopefully you guys can see it. I'm sorry about the glare, but we're setting in front of natural lighting, and this is how we do it. Very unprofessional around here. So, Porky's Revenge, I always say that this soundtrack is underrated, and it's definitely one of the soundtracks that's better than the film, I think. But I am a fan of Porky's Revenge. I'm a fan of all three of the Porky's films, but I do love Porky's Revenge. But this soundtrack, it has a bunch of tracks by Dave Edmunds on here. You have Clarence Clemons, Jeff Beck, just let me read them off to you. The Fabulous Thunderbirds, George Harrison, Willie Nelson, and Carl Perkins, okay? I mean, listen to that. Heavy, heavy hitters. So, even if you haven't seen the film, I think the soundtrack is worth picking up and worth having in the collection. All right, Pretty in Pink, another John Hughes classic here. This one, I believe, was a VCLT from a friend from Canada, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Been around the vinyl community so many years, I kind of forget who sent what. Sorry about that. I note it in my Discogs, but I'm just kind of flying off the cuff today, you guys, so apologize for that. But again, great John Hughes soundtrack here. OMD, If You Leave, Shell Shock by New Order, Bring on the Dancing Horses, Echo and the Bunnymen. So many great tracks on here. Pretty Woman. Oh, I had this on CD as a youngster, and I love the soundtrack. It's one of the best soundtracks from the 80s, I think. But it's got David Bowie on here, Robert Palmer, Roxette, Must Have Been Love, of course. You have Go West, King of Wishful Thinking. Love that track. Always think of Pretty Woman when I hear that track. Natalie Cole. Just Chili Peppers are on here. Great, great, great song. And of course, Roy Orbison doing Oh Pretty Woman. Ah, the score to The Princess Bride. So this is music by Mark Knopfler, of course, and there's like one or two music pieces as well as all the score to Princess Bride. Not all, probably not all, but close enough. 3 more, you guys. This is Pulp Fiction, obviously, Quentin Tarantino. Again, such a great soundtrack. Oh my gosh, this one I think everybody should own in their collection, even if you're not a fan of the film or a fan of Quentin Tarantino. This soundtrack is killer. Ooh, this movie is very risque. I've not even dared to play the soundtrack on my channel. I've done like a greatest hits of the soundtrack, but you know how I do my normal videos where I overlay, you know, clips from the film. This film is so taboo, I'm just afraid to even attempt it because of, I mean, you can see the artwork on the cover, what it might pertain to. So anyway, but it's a great soundtrack. Rod Stewart, John Cougar Mellencamp, Air Supply, more. Just a great, great soundtrack. Okay, last but certainly not least, I decided to put this in here, but this is Purple Rain. So I know some people, there's a fight over it online about, is it a soundtrack? Is it just an album? I'm putting it here in the soundtracks because that's where it's always lived. So Purple Rain, had to end it here, and this is just, I mean, Pinnacle Prince. So there you go, guys. That is N through P. We're chugging right along. Probably 2 more videos in the non-horror soundtracks, then we might move on to something else. Let me know if you want me to continue on with horror, or do you want me to go to rock and roll, classics. We got country to cover, box sets, Christmas. Let me know down below what you guys would like to see after we finish the soundtracks. So anyway, guys, if you've made it this far, leave a purple heart down below. I would appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be excellent to each other, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.